Welcome to Sports Talk with Lee. Today we are going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. So we're going to talk about a few things here. We're going to talk about Matt Stafford. We're going to briefly touch on the front office, and we're probably going to talk about some other things associated with the Lions. The very first thing I want to touch on is Matthew Stafford. 12 years with the Detroit Lions. He's seen it all, number one pick. And I will admit, when we drafted him, he wasn't even the guy I wanted. I wanted the linebacker that went to Seattle, who was out of the league a few years later. At least I think he was. He didn't do anything worth note, which means I was really wrong. And later on, I'm going to tell you what I think the Lions should do in this year's draft because I have such a good track record for that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm all right. But the Matthew Stafford thing did come as a bit of a shock. And I think a lot of people didn't see this coming from Stafford's camp, right? He has always been pretty quiet about possibly wanting a trade or getting out of Detroit or seeming disgruntled. He towed that company line. He was a team guy. And I do think he truly loved being in Detroit. I think he loved, representing this city. I think he was all in. I think Matt Patricia sucked the life out of him, Bob Quinn. And, again, it's unfortunate. I watched the interview with Jennifer Hammond interviewing Dominic Raiola, and he basically said as much. He said Patricia and Quinn were far worse than people realized. And I believe him. Now, Dominic Raiola, again, he's a whole nother story. He played years here until I think 2014. I think he was like a 14-year veteran. When he retired, he had some issues with fans here, and he towards the end of his career, he got really chippy with some of the other teams, taking some dirty shots here and there and stuff like that. But anyways, so when it comes to Matthew Stafford, I think he came and asked for a trade. When he came and asked for a trade, I think, and maybe he had heard rumblings that the new front office was probably going to trade him. I know Sheila Ford didn't really say much last year. She said the new regime would decide Matthew Stafford's future. I've watched another YouTube channel, Dose of Dion, and I think he had his father on or something, and they made a bigger hoopla of that than I think it actually was. They thought that was the moment Stafford wanted to leave because he didn't feel like the organization was sticking up for him. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Dan Campbell he wasn't sold on as a coach. I think he was worried about learning a new system. I think he was worried about the style of play not catering to his strengths. I think there was all of that. And based on the hires they've made, I think this is going to be a team that tries to build a run-first identity, or at least they're going to build themselves around a defense and a run game. Old school Bill Parcells football, and that's kind of in the nature between a lot of the guys they brought in. The offensive coordinator has been known to make running games really good. Everywhere he's been, they've improved. Dan Campbell is a gritty, smash-mouth football guy from the Bill Parcells tree. Bill Parcells, great coach, got the Giants a Super Bowl, got the Patriots a Super Bowl, turned the Dallas Cowboys around after they struggled for a couple years after their dynasty. Before leaving. And again, he liked smash mouth football. He always had good quarterbacks, but his teams went as far as his defense and his running game. He didn't expect his quarterbacks to carry the team. They were capable, but he didn't put them in that situation time and time again. So it could be a different feel to what us Lions fans are used to. And Matt Stafford seeing this possibly becoming the identity of the future team, I think decided he was done. Now, the good news is there are a ton of teams that are probably a quarterback away from being contenders for a championship. Not necessarily favorites, but contenders. And, you're looking at teams like, people say the Patriots. I don't think that's realistic. I'll be honest. I don't think the Patriots are going to make a move for Stafford. People say the Colts. That one I could see. But I think, again, I don't think it's going to be the Colts. It could be. And for some reason, I think it's going to come down to the Broncos, Washington Redskins, or the San Francisco 49ers. Rumor has it the 49ers are also looking at trading for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has 3 more years on his contract. He's 37 years old. He's from California. So for him, that would be a perfect fit. But Stafford could definitely go there. Now, Stafford's going to be 33. He's got at least, and again, it depends on how long he wants to play, but he's got at least 5 years left if he wants to play, where he can be a good, top 10 quarterback in the league, maybe top 12, somewhere in that range. I think for most of his career, he's been between like the 8th best quarterback and about the 14th best quarterback, depending on what's going on. And he can get it done. He's rarely, if ever, had a running game. The one year I think his running back averaged more than like 4.5 yards a carry, we won 11 games. The one year we had a middle of the pack defense, again, we won 11 games. We made the playoffs when the defense was in the middle of the pack. The 3 years, that he's made it. He's never had a good team around him. I've heard people say, "Oh, we haven't given him weapons." We've given him weapons. That's crap. He had arguably the best wide receiver in the league in Calvin Johnson. Calvin could be triple, quadruple teamed, and he'd throw it up and catch it, right? He's had Marvin Jones for a chunk of that. Golden Tate, Kenny Galladay, Javid Best when he was here and healthy. For the longest time, that was when Stafford played his best, when he had a running back he could dump it off to. We drafted 3 tight ends in the first round over those 12 years. Brandon Pettigrew, I know he wasn't very good, but we did draft him. We drafted Eric Ebron, who I know he had a lot of drops, but he was a better than average tight end. It's just unfortunate he dropped a lot of balls in crunch time, in pivotal moments, and arguably cost us games. And obviously the Hawk, right? Hawkinson, which we have a good tight end right now, one of the top tight ends in the league, or at least one that's going to be one of the top tight ends in the league. Hawkinson's great. I love his play style. I think he's going to be good. So the cupboard was never bare for Matthew Stafford. Have we given him good offensive lines? No, definitely not. We've always had a hard time putting a good offensive line on the field for our teams. He got sacked over 40 times this year. In 16 games, he was sacked 41 times. That is a lot. You got 250, 300-pound guys hitting you 40 times in a year, running 4.5, speed at you. Muscular as hell. It's like getting hit by a car 40 times. Like, that is a lot for a quarterback, Quarterbacks aren't meant to take that kind of punishment. So if he goes to a place like Indianapolis, where their quarterback was only sacked like 20-something times, that's half the amount of sacks. If he goes to a place like San Francisco, again, your offensive line there was pretty good, So they're not, I wouldn't say the offensive line in San Francisco is great, not at all. But I believe it might be a step up from what the Lions are, offensive line-wise. With that said, the offensive line we had in place this last year, we have a couple guys that I think are not that bad. You've got a couple young guards. You've got, I'm drawing blanks on names. You got the guy from Kentucky you just drafted who's a backup. He's not a starter. So again, that's whatever. But you've got some guys, right? You got the guy from Ohio State you drafted at guard who's pretty solid. Our offensive line is young and can turn into Frank Ragnow. There we go. Frank Ragnow is possibly going to be a Pro Bowl center. He is a good center. He plays hard. I think Frank Ragnow is going to be here for a long time, and he will be a plus player on that offensive line. Taylor Decker, depending on if he's healthy, is a maybe average, slightly above average tackle, left tackle. He's not elite. He's not great, but he's not bad. You can have him there and he's not going to cost you, too much when it comes to wins and losses, right? Right tackle was a little bit rough. We spent a lot of money on a right tackle that did not pan out. I don't know why we hired him in the first place. There were clear reasons why he was a free agent. We overpaid. But then we got Ibushi. I think that's his name, Ibushi. He was pretty good, but again, he was a guard. I think switched over to right tackle. I think we need to shore that up. I think what we really need on the offensive line is a guard and a tackle. Back to the whole Stafford thing, though. I think we're going to trade him, and I think it's going to be Denver. I think it's going to come down to San Francisco, the Colts, and Washington. I've seen people mention the Saints. The Saints are $105 million in the red with the salary cap. Once Breeze is gone, I still think they're like $80 million. So they got to dump a lot of salary cap space. And part of this is because poor cap management by the Saints. And the other aspect of it is that the salary cap is actually going down this year. That doesn't happen very often because the NFL is very profitable. Usually the salary cap goes up every year. But it's going down this next year. So the Saints, I don't know what's going on with the Saints. We'll see what they put on the field next year. I don't think they're going to do too much. I think they're going to be getting rid of guys, looking to, again, shave that number under the cap. I've seen people mention Dallas, and that's possible. Dak Prescott is going to be a free agent. He was on he was franchise tagged last year, but he broke his leg, and he wanted $40 million a year. Stafford is not making anywhere near that. He is 14th highest paid quarterback. A few years ago, was one of the higher paid, but he's at the end of his deal. He's got 2 more years. It's a very salary cap friendly contract for a starting quarterback. So if Dallas chose not to renew Dak Prescott, Stafford could go home. He's from Texas. He's a Texas boy. Grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. So that would be a great fit for him. And if they're willing to give us some tools, some picks, things like that, then I could see that working out. The Houston Texans might be hiring Jim Caldwell, who Stafford loved, played well under Caldwell. And I could see, if they hire him as their head coach, I could see Stafford possibly being traded there. Their current quarterback, Deshaun Watson, wants to be traded out. So then you get this issue where Stafford is probably a better quarterback right now than Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson is much younger, a different style quarterback. And so it wouldn't be just a straight player for player. I think it's a hard trade to make, because if you're trading Stafford for Watson, which team is going to get the edge, right? I think most people would say the Texans would need draft picks in order to accept that trade. So not only would they be replacing Watson for a better quarterback, but you would also need to give them draft picks. And it's mostly because of the age and the potential upside. On the other side of that coin, is Watson going to live up to his potential? You know, I still feel like it's too early to tell. This year, I don't think was his best year. I think not this year, but last year, Watson looked like he could be one of the upper echelon quarterbacks. And so again, I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would like that trade. I would be okay with it, and I would understand it if we were able to maybe trade Stafford. And I don't think the Houston Texans would take this, but like a third this year and a second next year or something. Like I would possibly be okay with that, but on the other hand, maybe not. And I'll get into why here in a second. San Francisco, I think they have the 12th pick. If they gave us the 12th pick and a second round pick this year for Stafford, I would be all in. I would take it. If Denver traded, I think they're the 9th pick. If they gave us the 9th pick and a second round pick, I would definitely take that. If we could somehow get a first now and a future first, because I've seen that talked about a little bit in national media, that would be huge. I have friends who are football fans of like the Packers and stuff, and they're like, Stafford's not worth that many picks. And everything I'm hearing in national media, I've read a lot of stuff in the last couple of days. I've watched a lot of stuff. Everything I'm hearing is he is possibly worth 2 first-round picks. Again, he's 33, so on the surface, if you're thinking of a football player, you're like, that's old. But not for a quarterback. That is not old. Now, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, he has broken his back. He has, had quite a few injuries in his career. When he slows down, which I don't know if he's going to, but when things start falling apart for him physically and he starts showing age, and wear and tear, it's going to happen quick. That's in the back of my head. But I don't know if teams are going to look at it that way, because early on he got hurt. He broke his clavicle. I think he was hurt his first 2 years, if I remember right, and was labeled, glass Stafford. Like, people used to say, oh, he's injury prone, blah, blah, blah. But he went a long stretch without getting hurt. And then when he did, he played through injuries, and played well through injuries. I think he had a broken finger last year while playing and some broken ribs or something. This year he was all torn up, had a broken back last year. Like, he's been battling injuries constantly the last couple of years, but he's played through them and played at a high level. So he's going to be a good quarterback. He will if you put him on any of those teams, the Redskins will probably make the playoffs with Stafford. He's guaranteed probably to give you not 7 additional wins. He'll probably give you at least 7 wins a year, almost no matter who you put out there with him, right? That's just the kind of player he is. As long as he's healthy. If he's not playing, say he's injured and out, then, you can't guarantee that. But if he plays all 16 games, I would almost bet on it on most teams. He will give you, 6-7 wins guaranteed. And that's without a good defense, without a good running game. Redskins, good defense. San Francisco, good defense. One of the top 3 tight ends in the league. Decent offensive line. I believe they have a good running game. Their issue this year was they had a lot of injuries. They're stars. They're superstars. I think they were down like 3 really, really good starters just on defense this year for most of the year. So again, they're returning next year. That's going to be huge. Denver, a really good defense. They have weapons, at wide receiver and tight end. They have a real deep tight end group, I believe. Stafford on Denver will make them really good. They will probably be one of the top 3 teams in the AFC. San Francisco would easily be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFC with Stafford. The Colts might be a top 3, top 4 team in the AFC with Stafford. So there's all that. And so that's what I think is going to happen. I personally want 2 firsts, and every fan wants 2 firsts. I would be more than happy with the 9th or 12th and a second round. Whether that second round is this year or next year doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with either one. If it's got to be next year, I want a first. If it's this year, I'm cool with the second. I might even settle for a third this year because for the first time in a long time, I trust the front office staff we have. Now, before I jump into that, though, one of the other things I was thinking about, and I pulled this up, is who's leaving Detroit this year in the offseason? And the reason I looked this up is, why is Stafford so adamant about leaving? So this year we knew our top 2 wide receivers were unrestricted free agents. Well, what if I told you our top 5 wide receivers are unrestricted free agents? Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, Mohamed Sanu, Kenny Golladay, Jamal Agnew, all of them unrestricted free agents. All of them. We might not have any of our wide receivers next year. We might not have our quarterback next year. Adrian Peterson, who basically was a veteran backup, we might not have him next year. We're losing Ibushi, the guy I was talking about. Losing a backup tackle in Matt Nelson. Who else? We're losing our kicker, our punter. We're losing 3 linebackers who got significant playing time. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Jared Davis, Reggie Ragland. I don't know if we're for sure losing them. I guess we have a chance to re-sign all these guys. But a lot of our guys are up for free agency. Everson Griffin, the defensive end we picked up this year. Romeo Okwara, who played really well. He might come back. I actually hope he does. His brother's here, Julian Okwara. We drafted him last year. I hope he comes back. He produced fairly well, all things considered. We still have our top 3 corners with Trufant, who's injury prone, Coleman, and Okuda. But our depth guys, Darryl Roberts, who's a fast corner, still probably has a couple, like 1 or 2 more years where he could really produce. Again, we're talking about our 4th corner, so it's not that big a deal. But he could produce. Tony McRae and Michael Ford, they're up for free agency as well. Michael Ford, I kind of like. I've liked him a little bit when I've seen him play. There's times, though, and I think a lot of it, especially the last couple of years, I think the coaching staff did not put these guys in a good position. And when you hear former players and broadcasters who are former players who say Matt Patricia's defenses looked lost, like they had no idea how to play their positions. You know, we had Duron Harmon, who's also up for free agency, who was supposed to be our leader on defense. At times, he looked lost. You know, we did not look competitive at all in a lot of games. Like, it was really bad. And that's an indictment on the coaching. I don't think our guys were... I don't know if the game plans were just bad. I don't know what it was. But we just did not perform well. Our defense was like, I want to say it's the last, like, worst in the league. Maybe bottom 2, bottom 3. That's not acceptable. Our running game was really, really poor. With that said, I do think DeAndre Swift looked pretty good. But he's your quick, shifty running back. We still need to get a power running back. And I think the league, if you look at someone like Travis Henry over in Tennessee, the league is so offense friendly, and because of how you have to hit guys, if you could get a Jerome Bettis type of running back, you're going to see 2,200 yards, 2,000 yards out of this guy. And with the team that it seems like we want to build based on our coaching staff, I could see something like that happen, and you can probably find a bigger guy not at the first round. You could probably find him in like the second, third, fourth round. I don't know what's out there with running backs deep in the draft or anything like that, but you could put a team together that definitely could not exploit the rules, but take advantage of what the rules are. You know what I mean? You see it with Travis Henry with the Titans. Titans, hand the ball to him a ton, and you're not allowed to hit him below the knee, right? That's how they used to take out big guys 25 years ago, So would love to get a guy like that. A thick, low to the ground, big, trucker of a running back. That's what I want to see. Heck, if you could get a Mike Allstott style fullback, put him at running back, you could do it, I could see some cool stuff there, especially if you can get another couple pieces on that offensive line, some maulers, and that's the type of team I want to see too. So again, I'm loving these pickups. So Dan Campbell is the questionable hire when it comes to the coaching and the front office, but I love his moxie. I love his attitude, his personality. He's a football guy, right? And everybody they've brought in is a football guy. Almost everybody on the coaching staff, in fact, I think everybody on the coaching staff that I know that they brought in, and everybody in the front office they brought in are all former players. Chris Spielman. You've got the Mike Holmgren tree with, he's the guy I actually wanted for them to hire as their general manager. Not Holmes. Dorsey. Dorsey was the guy I wanted as our general manager. He helped put together first of all, his stuff goes back to Mike Holmgren, I think, in Green Bay. And then he worked for him, I think, in Seattle. And then he went on to obviously be the general manager in Kansas City. In Kansas City, he was part of the hire of Andy Reid. He was part of bringing in Patrick Mahomes. Part of bringing in, oh my gosh, I'm terrible today. Just that whole core, right? The tight end, the wide receiver, like everybody that is awesome in Kansas City, he was part of bringing them in. He then went on to the Browns in 2017 and 19. He drafted Baker Mayfield. He helped bring in, I believe, Odell Beckham Jr. He helped stack that defense a little bit. Nick Chubb, like all those guys that are really good on their team, he put there. Not the guys that have been there for a long time, but you know what I'm saying. And Cleveland made the playoffs this year. The Browns were touted as basically being like the Lions, if not worse than the Lions a couple years ago. The Jets, worse than the Lions, or on par with the Lions. Like, those are like the three notorious bottom of the NFL teams in the last few years. And, obviously he helped turn that around. After 2 years, he was kicked out of there. And part of that is because in the role he had as general manager, I guess he purposely like traded people without telling them. He would leave voicemails when they didn't answer that, hey, by the way, we're cutting you. Like, he just wasn't a personable GM. He just didn't have time for that. He's just like, all right, hey, was hoping to talk to you. You're cut. Or, oh, you're traded. Like, guys didn't even know, and then all of a sudden they get a voicemail that they're no longer a Cleveland Brown. So that was his big downfall. But he's now just the director of player personnel, which I believe is like a NFL level scout. If I basically, it's not a scout, but it's like a guy who, well, I guess it would be like that. But so anyways, from the Rams, we got a couple guys. We got Holmes, who is our now general manager. I love that pick. He was a big part of bringing in a lot of the guys there, like Aaron Donald, and that team has really built up an identity as a strong defense. And I love that. Defense and running the ball. Like, I love old school football, and there's nothing more old school than that, right? Old, early 2000s Baltimore Ravens style defense, old Chicago Bears, Walter Payton style defense and running game. I love that stuff. That's what I like. And that's why I love these hires. So, again, those are your three decision makers, up in the front office. Now, in the coaching staff, you got Dan Campbell. Great. I'm fine with that. I like his attitude. I don't know how good of a head coach he's going to be, but everyone he coached in Miami when he was an interim head coach, they loved him. All the players loved him. He took over after they went 1-3, and down the stretch he won 5. He went 5-7. Okay, that team was god awful back then. No real weapons, just they were awful. And the players wanted him to be their head coach the next year. Like, he had players vouching for him. They wanted him back because they played hard. They beat Belichick's Patriots. They beat, I want to say they beat like 3 really quality teams down that of those 5 games. So again, he did some good stuff there. He got his guys to play hard for him. They went and hired Adam Gase after that, which, that didn't work out. And then he went over to the Jets, and, like, he's got that weird, like, press conference where his eyes are all doing this weird thing, like, looking around for, like, a fly or something. And he's been atrocious there as well. So that was his chance there. He did that for a year, and then he went over to the Saints, where he's been an assistant head coach for 5 years or so, and tight ends coach. And we all know the Saints are good. Sean Payton, fantastic. Also from that Bill Parcells tree. Sean Payton is a huge X's and O's coach. Dan Campbell is not known for that, but he's been underneath Sean Payton for 5 years. You got to assume he's learned something. There's probably, like, the playbook alone is probably good enough, right? Not saying he's going to use the Saints playbook, but there's a chance. I believe he also did he help with special teams? He may have been helping with special teams too. Over there. But either way, he was a tight ends coach. They brought in the Chargers head coach from this past year as our offensive coordinator. Now, he coached the Bills as their running backs coach. He used to coach Deuce Staley, who is now our running backs coach, who we just poached from the Eagles. This coach had Justin Herbert. Gosh, see, I'm so bad with names. From the Chargers, the rookie quarterback this year who played extremely well for a rookie. And again, I think he threw like 20-some touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,400 yards or so, which is pretty good for a rookie quarterback, right? He also, when he had to, Tyrod Taylor did well in Buffalo. That was impressive, because Tyrod Taylor is not a great quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is a free agent, though. So who knows? Maybe Tyrod Taylor comes to Detroit, and maybe we draft a rookie quarterback, and we see what we can do. And we'll get to the draft talk here in a second. But I think that is a good pickup. I'm excited. I think when it comes down to it, all the coaches around him, former players, are good coaches. They've turned around their respective areas in almost every situation. They've made teams better. And I think, look, I'm not going to blow smoke. I think the Lions are going to be dog crap in 2021. They're going to be a really poor team. I just don't think we're going to have the best players out there, and that's okay. We are in a legit rebuild. If we're going to be trading Stafford, if we can get something for that, who knows? We'll probably be a younger team. We might have some veterans who are good mentors, high motor players. I think Dan Campbell will resonate well with younger players and high motor players because he is a player's coach. Everything I've heard, again, is players loved playing for him, but I don't think he's going to be a complete pushover. I think he's still going to drive him hard. They're going to be, doing plenty of sprints in the off season. He's going to work them. But I think they're going to know that it comes from actually wanting them to succeed rather than just instilling his own drive on them. You know what I mean? And so I think it'll work out well. Now, looking at the draft, the Lions have the 7th pick. And, obviously there's guys at the top of the draft every year that you're like, that's a can't miss guy. To me, Trevor Lawrence is hands down the best player in the draft. If the Lions are able to get a first round pick this year for Stafford, and they can move up with that 7th round pick, or the 7th pick overall, and that other first round pick they get to move up to get Trevor Lawrence. I don't care if Trevor Lawrence isn't picked by Jacksonville, and say it's Justin Fields because Urban Meyer believes in it. Having that history there. If it's Justin Fields that they go after, and you are able to trade up 2 first-round picks to get Trevor Lawrence, you do it. Like, no questions asked. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a stud in the NFL. I think he could easily be a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, over the course of the next 10 years. A little bit better than Stafford just because I think he can do some more with his legs than Stafford. And I think he's played some good competition. He's played in big spots. He's won championships. He's young. I think he's like 20, 21 years old. So again, I think he's going to be awesome if you can get him. If you can't get him, I've seen mock drafts where Justin Fields does fall down to the Lions, which I don't know how. I'll be honest. Looking at the draft order, I'm pulling it up right now. I don't see how you get the number 2 quarterback to fall past the Jets, the Falcons. I guess the Eagles would be fine. So the Jets and the Falcons. The Jets need a quarterback. They, in my mind, have to go for Justin Fields. I think Trevor Lawrence would be number 1. Jets and number 2 are going to take Justin Fields, right? The Dolphins are an interesting one. I don't know who they're going to take. They have Tua. They've got some stuff going on there. They were a playoff team, like they're a solid team. Do they go Micah Parsons and get that linebacker? Probably. Sewell. It's always good to get an offensive lineman. They can go get Sewell from Oregon. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Atlanta goes quarterback. So if Fields and Lawrence are gone, they're going either Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. The Bengals, you got to get some help for Burrow. You got to go maybe wide receiver. Maybe they go for Devontae Smith. Maybe they go for what's his name? Chase. I think it's Lamar Chase from LSU. Maybe they do that. That would be probably a good pickup for them. Eagles need a lot of stuff. I don't think the Eagles are that good right now. I think they've got quarterback issues, which obviously Jalen Hurts is going to be their guy because they drafted him last year. They got to see how that experiment goes. I don't know what they're going to go with. But when you get to the Lions, I've got a couple ideas. Again, if one of the top 4 quarterbacks is available, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, or Trey Lance. If there's only one of them left, you have to take him. Okay? If the Broncos traded for Matt Stafford and you have the 7th and 9th pick and there are 2 quarterbacks at that time, say it's Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, I think you got to look at what else is out there. Is Sewell there? Is Micah Parsons there? Is Devontae Smith there? Those 3 and 2 quarterbacks. I don't think that's possible, but if that's what's on the board, I think you go for either Devontae Smith or you go for Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. And then at number 9, you assume the Panthers are going to take a quarterback. They're going to take either Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. And I think they're going to take Zach Wilson. And I actually think Trey Lance could be a really good quarterback. So if that's the case, and at number 9, you then get Trey Lance, you've now got at least one weapon for him in that. Now, people are going to hate it if they draft a wide receiver. I guarantee you the fans are going to freak out. And if Micah Parsons plays like a old, what was his name, Claiborne for us a few years back or something like that, people are going to be pissed. And that's, again, us Lions fans are so used to drafting the right position guys, and they just don't work out. I also love Sewell from Oregon. I think if we can get a tackle, maybe move Taylor Decker to right tackle. It wouldn't be this year. It'd probably be next year. It'd be 2022 that you do the switch. Because Sewell, you'd probably leave it. You'd probably put him at right tackle for the year. I'm assuming he can play that. I think that would probably be the way to go. And, you know, if you have the 12th pick, you got to take quarterback at number 7. There's no question about it. If there's 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, you can't risk it. You got to take one. Honestly, it would be great if Justin Fields fell. I'm totally cool with giving up those 2 first-round picks to move up to number 1 or 2 and to get Trevor Lawrence, because you got to have an offensive lineman, or I mean, not an offensive lineman, a quarterback. So those are my thoughts, and you know, I think the Lions, with all the guys they're losing or possibly losing, you know, we could like just in 1 year just be like, throw everything out. Let's legit start over. A quarter of our team is up for free agency right now. And like almost all of our key contributing starters are up, right? On offense, you know, our whole receiving core is up for free agency. Our whole receiving core, our whole special teams, kicker, punter, return man, up for free agency. Got a lot of work to do, guys. And I just hope that we make the right choices and put a competitive team out there this year. I don't think it's going to be a good team. I think we're probably going to be bottom of the barrel. It'll be interesting to see what the Bears do, because I think the Bears are going to be bottom of the barrel. The thing also that will be crazy is if the Lions can't trade Stafford, but the Packers trade Aaron Rodgers. That would be wild, because then the Lions have the best quarterback in the division. Assuming, you know, Aaron Rodgers goes to San Francisco and, you know, whatever. But then what do the Packers do? Do they trade with Houston to get Deshaun Watson? Like, there's so many things that this is going to be a weird offseason. There's going to be a lot of moves, I feel, more so than normal. And the Lions are already moving like crazy and doing a bunch of stuff, which is exciting. This is an exciting offseason. So anyways, yeah, that's my take. I think, you know, you have 3 quarterbacks that I think are going to be good. I don't think Justin Fields is going to be a top 10 quarterback, though. He might be between 10 and 15 over the course of the next 10 years. I don't know a lot about Zach Wilson. I just know what I've seen people say, you know, in national media, and they say he's, you know, easily a top 10 pick. Trey Lance is also expected to be a top 10, top 15 pick, but there's a lot more questions. He played at a smaller school, didn't play against the same type of competition. The one that's coming up a lot is the Alabama quarterback. I wouldn't mind getting him, but I don't think you can wait to draft a quarterback, unfortunately. And I don't want to see them draft him at number 7. If somehow Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Trevor Lawrence are off the board, I mean, I guess you got to do it, right? And, you know, So with that, the free agent quarterbacks. This was the other thing I was looking at, and the guys who are up for free agency, Dak Prescott, who is a good quarterback. I don't think he's as great as people think. I don't think he's worth the money he's wanted the last 2 years, personally. But he's a good quarterback. He can win games for you. He can go out there and ball like crazy, but it's not a consistent thing. Like, he doesn't do it week in and week out. And that's my issue with him. And I think for you to ever be a Super Bowl contender built around an offense and a quarterback to win games for you, if you don't have a quarterback and go on a 5-week run, 3-week run, then it's not gonna, there's no point really, because they're going to let you down. So, and again, I mean, we're talking about a rebuild. We're not talking about the Super Bowl this year, right? But Dak Prescott is young. He's only 28. Other than him, guys I would like to see, I wouldn't mind Fitzmagic, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's 39. If he still wants to play, he can come in and be a team leader. He is a total team player. He had no problem sitting for Tua last year. He helped Tua. That guy is a veteran leader, and I think would do this team a huge service. Like, I think he would be a great guy to have in the locker room. And if you have a rookie under him and you say, look, I know what happened to you this last year, Fitz. I know you helped turn that Dolphins team around. We are going to guarantee you, a year. Like, you are guaranteed to play this full year. And we're going to have somebody learn from behind you, unless you get hurt and they ball out. But we're going to ride you on the quarterback train for this full year, unless you get hurt. I think that would be a big deal, He's, again, Fitzmagic is not the greatest player. He's, probably, he's in the lower half of the league, but he can be a starter and he can be a good backup, right? If he wants a 2-year deal, I'd give him a 2-year deal. But then on year 2, he's not starting. He's just a backup. I could see us bringing in Tyrod Taylor because of the familiarity with our offensive coordinator. I don't want Andy Dalton. He's a free agent. I don't want Colt McCoy. Nathan Peterman, I don't want him. Robert Griffin III, injury prone, no. But I could see Robert Griffin III. I could see a Cam Newton, a Joe Flacco. I could see those guys ending up here. I could. Again, it would be like a 1-year deal. It'd be a chance to see if they can get something going. Jameis Winston, I don't want to see him. He throws a ton of interceptions. Blaine Gabbert's out there. Brian Hoyer, who's probably going to retire. He's 36. I think he was the 3rd-string quarterback in New England. Blake Bortles. Let's see. Josh Rosen could do that. He obviously was picked up by Tampa Bay and then on their practice squad and then moved over to San Francisco. He is a free agent. He's 24. He could be a guy, I don't know. I don't think Josh Rosen is going to be a starter, though. But he could be a guy you pick up who serves as a backup. Maybe this next year you give him a shot to show what he's worth while you have a rookie sit. If he plays really well, you don't lose anything. You sign this guy to a 2-3 year deal, assuming he's going to be your backup, but you give him a chance this year, and he could step up and be a good quarterback. We don't know. Coming out of college, people thought he was going to be good. He went to Miami, flopped. I don't know. That's kind of what I think about that. So there's a lot of guys that you could bring in, and again, it's a transition quarter. The quarterback position is going to be a transition. It's going to be a guy with the expectations of him only playing as your starter for a year. Maybe if he sets the world on fire, you get a really good situation where you got a rookie behind him who's got high upside, and now you got this starter veteran who maybe played really well, above what they were expected, and maybe you're a 8-win team, 7-win team, That I think that's a win. If the Lions go 7 wins or 8 wins, that's a huge, huge season. That means they are going to exceed expectations. I don't think I'm expecting 5 wins. That's probably me being generous, but I expect this next year 5 wins, considering you're losing you're going to lose Galladay. I don't think he's coming back. You're losing Stafford. You're losing a lot of stuff. You have glaring weaknesses on the defensive line, glaring weaknesses at linebacker. You really need to replace Harmon at safety because he wasn't that good anyway. You need guys in those positions. So I've been rambling for almost an hour, but those are my thoughts. I'm going to work to get this video up for you guys. I'm going to edit some of the stuff early on, and then I'm just going to post it up. But the rest of it's going to be a rambly video. Those are my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think, but I would love to hear about it in the comments below, or if you're seeing this on Facebook, let's have a discussion. If this is your first time, smash that subscribe button, hammer that like button, and let's do some more Lions videos. Maybe I'll talk more about, the other positions other than quarterback in future videos and what I would like to see them do. I'm going to start looking at the draft stuff here soon. We got the Super Bowl coming up. Go Brady, go Bucks. I'm a Michigan fan, so I got to root for him. I want him to go down as the greatest quarterback of my lifetime. So he already is, but I want him to make it such a hard thing for anybody else to surpass. So, yeah, go Brady. But, yeah, I'm not a Bucks fan. I'm just a Brady fan. I'm a Michigan fan. Kansas City's got a few Michigan guys. You got Taco, Frank Clark. You've got Chad Henne. I know I'm missing one. But yeah, so I'm rooting hard for all the Michigan guys to play really well. And yeah, you know how it is. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. This is a long video. If you're still watching, I really appreciate you. Take it easy.